And welcome to Mr. Thompson's Math Tutorials. Today what we're going to be looking at is factoring the product. So if you remember from last time, we looked at this particular question and we did a couple things with it. But one of the things that I showed you is that you could use something called the FOIL method to actually find the product of 2x minus 4 times 2x minus 4. And essentially, remember, we're multiplying this factor times this factor. So that would mean that I'm multiplying this times the x, and I'm multiplying the 2x minus 4 times the 2. One way to do this kind of simply is to remember the whole FOIL method, which is first, outside, inside, last. So the firsts are going to be what I'm underlining in red. So that would be 2x times x. Okay. The outside is what I'm going to circle in green. So that's this, and it's this. Okay, so that would be plus 2x times negative 2. And then I'm going to do the inside, which I'm going to circle in blue. So that's this times this. So that would be negative 4 times x. And then lastly, I'm going to do this underline in black. I would be multiplying the lasts. So that's this negative 4 and this negative 2. So that's negative 4 times negative 2. Okay, I collapse this together. So right now I'm going to do the red term. So this is 2x times x, which is x squared. And then I'm going to do the green term. This is 2x times negative 2, so that would be negative 4x. I'm doing the blue term. This is negative 4 times x, which is negative 4x. And then the black term, which is negative 4 times negative 2, so that's positive 8. And I can further simplify this to 2x squared minus 8x plus 8. Okay, so we learned that last time. Now, how do I get this back, though? Because it's going to be helpful for us to get that back at some point. So let's look at the process of how you do that. And we're going to use this particular question right here, which FOIL has already been applied. So the first got multiplied times the first, the last got multiplied times the last, the outside and the inside got multiplied times together, and then we added together the outside and the inside. Okay, and that's very similar to what we did here. The first got multiplied times the first, the last got multiplied times the last, the outside and inside got multiplied together, and then we added together the outside and the inside. Okay, so we're going to do something similar here, except we're going to undo what we just did, or the product of this. This is the product. So let's do this. Let's start with this. We know it's going to end up in this form. There's going to be some sort of variable, and then there's going to be some sort of number, and that's going to be multiplied times some sort of variable plus some sort of number. Now the variable in this case is pretty easy to find because this is x squared. So I know to get x squared, I'd have to multiply variable times variable, and the only thing that's going to give me that is if I multiply x times x. So I've actually got 4 of the spaces filled out, or sorry, 2 of the 4 spaces filled out to solve this question. But I need to generate this number. Now, I'm going to use this idea of the last here to help me get that. Because last means that I'm going to be multiplying this times this. So whatever number goes here needs to be multiplied times the number here, and that actually has to equal 6. So I have to think to myself, what are all of the numbers that multiply together to give me 6? Well, I'm going to make a factor list. Okay, so 1 times 6 is 6, and 2 times 3 is 6. And these are all the factors of 6, except they're not. There are another set of factors that I can multiply together to give me 6. And those factors are the negative factors. Because actually negative 1 times negative 6 is 6. And negative 2 times negative 3 is also 6. So those are my negative factors of 6. And negative 1 times 6 is 6, and negative 2 times 3 is 6. So these are the numbers that I can put in there. Now I can also use this number to help me pick which set of factors I'm going to put in here, because really I'm going to either put into this space here the positive 1 times positive 6, the positive 2 times positive 3, or the negative 1 times the negative 6, or the negative 2 times the negative 3. Okay, they have to be factor pairs that I put in there. I have to decide which of these factor pairs do I put into these spaces. So I have to think to myself this. If you remember, we add together the outside and the inside. So the sum of these two numbers, of the factor pairs that I'm going to put in here, have to equal negative 5. So let's see which one of these equals negative 5. Well, let's start with the 1 and the 6. If I add those together, the sum of those is 7. So that doesn't equal negative 5. The sum of 2 and 3 is 5. That's not negative 5. The sum of negative 1 and negative 6 is negative 7. So that's not that. And then the sum of negative 2 and negative 3 is, well, it's negative 5. So it must be negative 2 and negative 3. So let me just erase some things here. Come on. Okay, I'm just going to erase this positive sign there, okay? And so I'm going to be putting in my negative 2 and my negative 3. And let's just see if I FOIL this thing, do I end up with that product up there? So I want to just check that super quick. So here we go. I'm going to FOIL and just see if I get this product of that I saw earlier. Okay, so sorry, it went up too far. Here we go. I want to see if I get x squared minus 5x plus 6. So let's start by doing first time first. So that's x times x. And then I'm going to do the outside. So that would be x times negative 3. So that would be negative 3 times x. And then I'm going to do my inside, so that's negative 2 times x, so that's negative 2 times x. And then I'm going to do my last, which is negative 2 times negative 3, negative 2 times negative 3. Okay, and then I'm going to collapse this back, so x times x is x squared. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 2 times times x is negative 2x, and sorry, there should be a negative there too also. So negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6, and negative 3x minus 2x is negative 5x plus 6, and I can see that that is in fact correct because that's what I got earlier. So let's look at another example. Here we go. I've got this. So I'm going to use the same sort of process that we just went through. I'm going to start by thinking that I know this is going to be variable plus number and variable plus number. Okay, and I have to do, again, a bit of detective work. So I have to start by thinking, what are all the factors of 10? I'm always going to start by thinking, what are the, oh, sorry, I should deal with this first. So I know what are the two variables that multiply together to give me x squared? Well, it's going to be x times x. So that's generally one of the easier parts of these problems. So now I need to think factors of 10. So let's see, I have 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. But they're not the only factors. Remember, there are also negative factors. So this could be negative 1 and negative 10, and this could be negative 2 and negative 5. Okay, and I have to decide which numbers go in there. And remember that whatever numbers I pick, they have to add up to 7. So I think to myself, 1 and 10. So 1 plus 10 is 11. Well, that's not 7. So those are out. 2 and 5. Well, 2 plus 5 is, oh, it's 7. And that's what goes in there. Okay, and then this is completed. And if I was to redistribute these and FOIL them, you would see that I would end up with this. Thank you for watching.